Have you ever seen a great design that you just loved but couldn't explain what made it look so good, but it just did? That was not done by accident. There's actually structure. Behind every good layout, there is a set of invisible rules that guide your eyes, shape what you notice, and even how you feel about it.
These are the principles of art and design. They're the 8 core ideas that control how visuals communicate.
And Disneyland uses every single one of them all throughout the park. We're not talking about rides and attractions today. We're talking about signs, posters, menus, all the things that work together to tell the bigger story. And these attraction posters are where it all begins. This is hierarchy at work. And we will find that same order flowing throughout Disneyland. That's contrast, balance, and spacing that all creates hierarchy, the principle that guides what we see first. So here's the plan. We are spending one full day here at Disneyland. We're hunting down all of the principles of art and design as we find them throughout the park. Each land teaches a principle, but there is one rule that's hiding in plain sight that holds them all together. I'm David Block, and welcome back to Designed in the Wild.
And this time, we'll do things just a little bit differently. I'm going to explain what we're looking at in the designs without revealing the actual principles that we're talking about. Let's see if you can identify them before I say the answers. Take a look at the graphic design that you find all down Main Street. The storefront signs, the window lettering, the menus, the packaging, and all of the small labels. Everything has its own personality. We see different names, different layouts, even different type treatments, but somehow they all still feel a part of the same story. And it works because everything was built using a shared visual language. Everything has similar framing styles, compatible type choices, consistent spacing. There's a clear historical tone that keeps everything connected. Even when designs aren't identical, they still feel like they belong together. You can see the same approach continue in New Orleans Square, where different signs and decorative elements are still speaking the same visual language. In graphic design, this happens when text, images, and shapes are placed closely together, or they're visually connected in some way. Do you know which principle we're talking about?
Unity is the principle that makes separate design elements feel like they were meant to be together. It creates a clear visual relationship among the parts so that the whole thing feels connected.
So if Main Street is about everything feeling connected and unified, Adventureland flips that around completely and tries to make things stand out. Notice how quickly your eye knows where to go in Adventureland. The bright lettering sits against dark wood, bold type stands out from textured backgrounds. Important information separates itself almost immediately. That's not accidental. Designers are using differences in color, value, size, and weight to make information readable at a glance, especially in busy environments where people are constantly moving. At night, this becomes even more obvious. In Tomorrowland, the neon glowing type against dark backgrounds becomes easier to read from a distance. In Galaxy's Edge, they handle this in a much more subtle way, relying on value and texture instead of bright color. In graphic design, this comes from changing things like color, size, weight, or brightness so that one element clearly separates itself from others. Can you name the principle that we're talking about?
Contrast is the difference between elements that makes something stand out, whether it's through color, size, value, shape, or texture, so that your eye will know exactly what to notice first.
Once designers know how to make things stand out with contrast, the next question becomes how to keep things consistent. That's where repetition starts to matter. Pay attention to the designs that we find repeating themselves as we move through the park. In New Orleans Square, certain details keep showing up again and again. We see lots of curved ironwork with scrolling shapes and ornamental details. You'll find them in the railings, the balconies, the gates, and even in the architectural trim. It's a Small World takes that idea and makes it impossible to miss. The entire facade is built from repeating shapes and symbols. That repetition creates a rhythm which gives the design order and consistency. Do you know which principle we're talking about?
The principle of pattern is a repeated use of shapes, lines, colors, or motifs that are arranged in a way that creates a rhythm and a consistency in a design.
Pattern creates structure, but that doesn't automatically mean that a layout will feel comfortable to look at. That comes down to how everything is arranged. Take a look at the signage here in Frontierland. Even though everything looks rugged, weathered, or handmade, you don't get the feeling that it was made by amateurs. Nothing is leaning, sliding, or pulling the layout off center. Your eye isn't dragged to one corner of the design. The visual weight is spread across the entire space. You'll notice how heavier elements are positioned to counter each other. Larger shapes are placed so they're supported by the smaller ones elsewhere. And the heavier slab serif lettering is anchored by the simpler details around it. All of that comes from how the elements are arranged in the composition. Do you know which principle we're talking about?
The principle of balance is the way a design distributes visual weight using size, color, shape, and placement so that the layout feels stable and instead of tilted or heavy to one side.
Even when a design feels balanced, some elements are still meant to stand out more than others. That's where size starts to matter. When you look at the signs here in Fantasyland, your eye goes straight to the attraction's name. In every case, the most important words are made larger so that they stand out more, while the secondary words were kept smaller and less conspicuous. The use of large and small elements is what this principle is all about. Even before you read anything, the size differences of the text tells you what is most important. In graphic design, this happens when large and small elements are used together to communicate importance without having to explain too much. Which principle do you think we're talking about?
The principle of proportion is the size relationship of the elements that you use in your design. What's big, what's small, what's medium, and how do those differences create a hierarchy and meaning in your work?
Proportion helps to establish importance in your design, but clarity also depends on how things line up. Let's take a look at the wayfinding panels and the menu boards here in Tomorrowland. The text, icons, and the graphics don't float around randomly. They line up to one side or the other, or down the center. Everything snaps into clean verticals or horizontals, which makes information easier to scan as you move through the land. The Star Tours sign works in the same way. The lettering is centered and internally aligned so that the information feels organized instead of scattered. Even Main Street window lettering follows this same logic. In graphic design, this happens when text and graphics share visual lines, edges, centers, or consistent spacing, so layouts feel ordered instead of cluttered. Do you know which principle we're talking about?
Alignment is when design elements share baselines, verticals, and spacing that keeps everything organized so that your composition can have a hierarchy that can be clearly understood.
Even in a design with great alignment, designers still have to make an important decision. What's that one thing that they want you to notice first? Your attention will always go somewhere first, right? So, as we continue to walk through the park, notice that there will always be something that grabs you. On the attraction signage, it's the ride name or the characters. On menus, it'll be the featured item, and on storefronts, it's the store marquee. That leading element should always get the strongest visual treatment so that it stands out over anything else. When that choice isn't clear, everything starts to compete for attention, and people may get confused as to what they should look at first. In graphic design, you can create clarity by deliberately choosing one element to stand out and letting everything else be read afterward. Do you know which principle we're talking about?
The principle of emphasis is all about giving your viewer one clear focal point, one element that's meant to draw their attention before everything else.
Once Imagineers have decided what should grab your attention first, they start thinking about where they want your focus to go next. In places like Toontown, curved lettering and tilted layouts move your focus from one element to another. Even something as simple as arched text can shape how you experience a design. You can see this in several places around the park. The Winnie the Pooh sign has lettering that tilts and staggers across the sign. In Frontierland, the Pioneer Mercantile name is arched over the entrance to grab your attention. On Main Street, the Gibson Girl lettering sits on a strong upward angle to create energy and draw you into the shop. Do you know which principle we're talking about?
The principle of movement is the path that your eye naturally follows through a design that's guided by the curves, the angles, and the spacing of the graphics and the text. Disneyland is a great place to study design because every visual choice has a specific purpose. Once you start spotting these principles in the wild, you can see how Imagineers planned every piece of design work across the park. Not just in the big signage, but in all the small details that most people overlook. Join me next time as we explore another corner of Disneyland and discover how design shapes the stories that we love right here on Designed in the Wild.
I'm not just a graphic designer and a high school teacher, I am also an author. I wrote a book called The Dragon Codex: Quest for the Relics of Design. This is a great story about 3 young dragons who have to learn graphic design to save the world from creative destruction. It's a book for young adults, and it's a story about family, it's a story about friendships, and a story about finding your place in the world. Pick up a copy today. I know you'll love it.